This has got to be among the trickiest, diciest topics in my entire repertoire of lessons, in basically everything under the sun. This is tricky. I thought all week long, given how many of you commented that your biggest takeaway was the power of desire, that desire is a form of action, as Seth said, as I recounted, and that yearning can have this power. And I kind of thought, I ought to just clarify that this desire and yearning, while a form of action, jam-packed with energy, isn't the only action to take. Happily, it's just show up in the real world. So even if you want self-realization, this inward revelation, pure bliss and total ecstasy, you need to go out and knock on some doors. It would seem otherwise. It would seem that you can just do this, in peace, by the babbling brook, or by your fireplace, or, in bed. And sure, all things are possible. But we're getting there gradually, and we're getting there as we live our life. And we are getting there, I made this clear, to live a rocking life, not to divorce ourselves from life, not to be like, I'm too good for you, I've risen above, I'm totally enlightened, I can walk on water. Who needs the illusions anymore? Nobody needs the illusions. We all came from a place pre-illusions. We all said, wouldn't those illusions be so cool to fleetingly believe in here versus there? Ha, what a gas. Nobody's going to believe that. To fleetingly believe in have versus have not? Who could be so gullible? It's just so obvious that we're everywhere always at once. No, they say it's real. They say it's real. To fleetingly believe now versus later versus before versus after. It's like, I am sure we found it impossible to believe that it would be so gripping, that we would think it is reality, given our omniscience, given that we have to think of answers, desire answers, and they show up. But it's just like, and I put this in one of my books, that if somebody had never heard of the cinema or a soap opera on TV, and they were saying like, oh, you're gonna love this. There's all kinds of juicy romance and gossip and backstabbing, and there's a place for drama. Drama is like, wow, total entertainment. And it's totally dependent on the Maya, the illusions, believing in lies. So if somebody told you about this incredible soap opera series, and you've never seen TV or soap operas before, humor me, and they said, you're going to get swept away, and you're going to be like, wait a minute, you're telling me I'm going to watch a little box that's stuck to the wall with screws, and that I'm going to be swept off my feet, that I'm going to feel indignant, that I'm going to fall in love, that I'm going to laugh at fake situations? You got to be like, you're off your rocker. Nobody could be that gullible. Nobody could be that naive. And then you watch a few episodes of this sitcom, and Bobby did this to Mary, and Mary did that to Janie, and they're lying, and they're carrying on, and they're having an affair, and they're stealing, and and it's not all bad stuff. The drama can be good, and so is practicing, for the Olympics, and so is going where no one's gone before, and Edward is learning meditation, and he's going to transcend it all. And you're rooting for people, and you're cheering, and it's this box that's nailed to a wall. That's the TV, and you're watching, and everyone's fake. Everyone has totally different lives than they're portraying. Everyone is reading from a script. That script was written by some person that lives in Kansas. All of that. Yet you're swept off your feet. You come to believe it. You want to believe it. You feel indignant. This is where we are now. They're like, you're going to go into these illusions and you're going to forget that you're everywhere, and you're going to forget that you're almighty, and you're going to believe in injustice, and you're going to believe in outrage, and you're going to feel angry over these powder puffs, holographic images. And you're going to be like, no, I will never feel that gullible. I will never forget I'm almighty. I will never fail to see the beauty. I will never cease understanding that there's order, perfection, and divinity in God's kingdom. Here we are. Here we are, totally swept off our feet. And so that's the setup for today's mini manifesting workshop, our mastermind into truth towards enlightenment and self-realization, going to what hurts for self-discovery. This has got to be among the trickiest, diciest topics in my entire repertoire of lessons, in basically everything under the sun. This is tricky. This is hurtful. This can be offensive. And I mean for none of that to happen to you. But the gist of it, you got to know, you're probably already there 3 steps ahead of me, is that nothing can happen in time and space without you at least co-creating it, if not solely creating it. Your happiness, your sadness, that's all on you, 100%. Your dance with life, you're finding a partner, you falling in love with your twin flame, you recoiling in disgust at the charade or the lies that's a co-creation. Okay, but everything has your tacit sanction. And I have to choose my words so carefully here, because I have heard it so many times. Mike, this is that blame the victim concept, phenomenon that you law of attraction people are guilty of. You blame the victim. That's what you're doing. It's disgusting. You're blaming the victim. Words like blame, fault, victim, utterly and totally fail in higher spiritual conversations. They presume things to be true that are not true. They presume that we're all virgin souls here against our wishes, and that life is happening to us, and hence the labels blame, fault, victim, and you can think of others in that genre. They presume things that a more enlightened person would never presume. Okay, and above all, to slice through it, the perspective to have and hold is that we are all divine, eternal creators here in these sacred jungles of time and space to adventure, to discover, to learn of our power, to recognize the beauty, to make higher choices, and to blast off into ecstasy. Okay, that's the name of the game. And when one door closes in this adventure, when one life, we call it dies, when there is death, another door swings open, the marching bands play, friends are summoned, and it goes on forever. After the 10 billionth lifetime ends, we're just beginning. So in that light, to say, oh, it's all your fault. Oh, I blame you. Oh, it's because of you. Or you're a victim of circumstances, completely denies that we are divine creators here by choice. Okay? And so I am not saying, and this is the all-important part, I am not blaming the victim. I'm not even going there. I'm saying we're all creators doing the best we can, and sometimes we stub our toes. Sometimes we manifest unintentionally. This does not justify the ugly and the painful that's happened in the world, nor that's happened to you. It's not okay. This does not say, oh, well, you co-created that violation, so, it's your fault. No. Take them to court. Press charges. This is not okay. But let's not put ourselves in a position where it was all on them. When we talk with ourselves, it was all on them, none on me. because I live in a world where unexpected, wacky, unfair things can happen to innocent people. If you want to claim that you live in that world, you will live in that world. This is your misunderstanding. And wacky, unexpected, mean, cruel, and awful things will happen to you because we're all a victim. Do you see? So you can be here and fight against injustice. You can rail against it, or better, move towards justice, celebrate justice. We don't want to be anti-war. We want to be pro-peace. You can live your life in these terms, and whether it was an errant belief of yours or a misunderstanding of truth of yours that led you to be party in a circumstance where there were violations, then take the normal mainstream recourse to stick up for yourself. You stick up for yourself. You know, maybe I was gullible. Maybe I had thoughts that led me into that. But that does not mean it's okay that you took advantage of me. That does not, in no way am I equating being a co-creator with fault. There are other people involved that took it to another level, and you left the door open. That does not mean it was your fault. So press charges, but go within. And the ideal here, of course, is to create a life pain-free, emotionally and physically, to live your bliss, to fall in love, to be loved, and to move on into ecstasy. And the way you do that is you ascend to the throne by claiming full responsibility. Now, this is a spiritual conversation, for everything that's ever happened to you, and then that puts you in power for everything that ever will happen to you forevermore, which doesn't mean you can't file suit and press charges along the way. Okay, you absolutely can, because we're talking about two different windows through which to view the world. And yes, it can be very dicey. Yes, one kind of negates the other, but it's up to you to see the truth above all. And by getting to the truth, the point of this mini manifesting workshop, you will immediately free yourself from that wheel of karma that was taking you round and round. I believe I'm a victim. The life is happening to us. As soon as you change the belief, you're off that wheel and you're set free, and you don't have to be thrown under the bus anymore. The truth will set you free. And I want you to kind of understand this from this perspective. Now, up and down and rise and descend have connotations that I don't wish to be involved here, but yet I need to use these words to convey something. We all voluntarily descended from truth, slowing down our vibrations so that we could play in a world that appears to be physical. We descended from truth. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be unaware that you descended from truth. Okay, you're like, I'm in the Maya of my own creation right now. Now I'm aware that I have descended from total conscious knowing of my creative abilities to, like, okay, I'm waking up inside of a dream right now. And so we descended, and it wasn't a fall from grace. It was so that the games could begin. Okay, the games could begin. Now, what do you think happens when you descend from the truth and you look at that apple like Adam and Eve did and you bite into it? What do you think the games are going to be like? Well, they're going to give you delicious apples, and they're going to give you a few apples that have worms in them. Now, all of a sudden, life is happening, and so you deny your role as a creator, and you don't know what's going to happen next. I guarantee you, awesome things are going to happen next. Things that will thrill you in a way that you could never have been thrilled prior to the descent. Okay, it's like, what's better than getting to the top of the mountain? Getting there after having been lost. That was a note from the universe. Then you really appreciate that you're there. Then you're like, oh my God, I was lost. I thought I would never find my way, and now I'm on top of the mountain. That's way better than just like being born on top of the mountain and knowing nothing else. That's life in time and space. We wanted to forget that we are on top of the mountain, and now we get to go up there, and it's going to be better than it could have been if we had never left. So by descending, there's going to be Romeo and Prince and Princess and love and be loved, and sports and activities and challenges for your brain. There's going to be the delicious, and there's going to be the distasteful, and there's going to be heartbreak, and there's going to be suffering, and there's going to be a twisted ankle. Literally, all the things that we experience emotionally are born of not seeing pure truth. And those things that hurt can be fixed by moving into truth with regard to what's going on. Have you read the Louise Hay book? It is one of the best-selling books in the history of humanity. You can heal your life. You can heal your life. It is why there is a Hay House Publishing, my publisher right now. Love them. But You Can Heal Your Life has sold tens of millions of copies. Very few books in the history of humanity have sold that many, like maybe a couple hundred. You Can Heal Your Life. The first half of the book is riveting biography, autobiography of Louise Hay's life. The second half of the book, quite a significant chunk of the book, is an index of physical and emotional ailments and what their likely cause is in terms of misunderstanding truth. I never fail to go to that book if, I pop my knee or some other sinus or allergy, you name it. You go to that book, and I will tell you, and I'm going to prepare you right now. It's frustrating, and you might feel very indignant. But it's going to give you food for thought, and you're ready to open your heart and open your mind and open your soul to blast off. And maybe her generalized cause that explains the pain from cancer to AIDS to dementia to upset stomachs to certain types of cancer. Her generalized cause might not be you. It might not have anything to do with the reason you stubbed your toe, but it might. Or it might help you connect a few dots that reveals truth. And in the moment you have truth, you are free. In the moment you have truth, that crystal clear view of, I was thinking this and it's really that. That thinking this is what created the sprain or the pull or the disease. And when you've got clarity, spontaneous remission. Now, whether or not it's spontaneous, if you get remission, it's good, because maybe you've got this little misunderstanding and that one. But this one is the real problem. So now you read the book or you do some meditation, you go within and you've got more clarity. You see the situation with a bird's eye view. And so you've solved this. Normally it would be spontaneous remission, but you have these other two little things that no longer make sense based on your breakthrough here, but they still exist. You haven't connected those dots. So the spontaneous remission might take a week or a month, but you're on your way because you've opened your heart to truth and seeing what you have not yet seen before. Of course, this all needs an example. So I'm going to give you an example. A couple that come to my mind right away. Well, you probably have heard this before. And this does not apply to you necessarily, but most forms of cancer, not all, but most forms of cancer stem from anger. Okay? Now you get to run with that. Okay? May apply to you, may not apply to you if this is where you've been, where you are. Back pain in your back, according to the book of Louise Hay, and it's not the gospel, okay, but it gives you food for thought. Inevitably, back pain is caused by financial worries. So what you do if you read that, do you realize that you're a gladiator of love and joy? Do you realize your thoughts become things? Do you realize you're pushed on to greatness? Do you realize there's nothing unspiritual about money? Do you realize that there's enough for everyone? Do you realize that you having yours is not going to stop other people from having theirs? Do you realize that you having yours might actually help other people live a happier, more abundant life not just because you're going to give some to them, but because you're going to be an example to them. Do you see how we're connecting the dots? Here's the pain. Here's the possible cause. Here are beliefs that would fuel that cause that don't make sense in light of the truth. Boom! You're on your way. Some other things that I remember from Louise Hay. Oh, I looked up dementia, memory loss, Alzheimer's, because my mom had that for 10 years, a slow decline. And boy, the most unexpected thing, it said that the people who have that are seeking attention. I still quite have not reconciled that totally. And it could be that one, or it could be the whole book is trash. It could be that one conclusion or the whole book is trash. But I will tell you that in my life's work and in my life's experiences, when I read Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life, it resonates truth. I won't say 100%, but I can't name anything that isn't truth. But the things I've read, I can see their validity. And then it's up to us to match that validity to whatever our pain is. What are you going through? Emotional? What are you going through? Physical? Find the pain, which is usually really easy. Isn't that cool how that works? As opposed to find the invisible, limiting, self-sabotaging belief. Find the pain. Is it depression? Find the pain. Is it your heart? Find the pain and consider what misunderstandings you have vis-a-vis limiting beliefs that need a second look. And then compare what you've been thinking about those areas that perhaps have stemmed to the pain and look at what the truth is. That money, for example, is just, your imagination. It grows on trees. They say Bitcoin has no value. You think paper money has value? It's all the game we're playing right now. So, and there are other books, the Messages from Michael book, and this is a personal experience. Messages from Michael that I talked to you about earlier when we were explaining young souls, baby souls, mature souls, old souls. While it's not a book of many diagnoses, they do come up with a few. And they said that allergies are virtually always a form of resistance. Now, I have had allergies much of my life. In fact, just the other day. And usually my allergies are non-allergy related. Change in weather, a change in pressure, a stress on myself, and my nose will run, my eyes will itch, and it'll be there for 24 hours. Like it was really bad yesterday, and then today I'm like healed. But I have allergies. And Michael says it's a form of resistance. What are you resisting in life? And that irks the heck out of me. I want to say I resist nothing. That's baloney. That doesn't apply to me. But deep down, I think it does. Now, sometimes I resist an assignment, a project, a conversation, thoughts about a certain area that need exploring. It's an invitation for me to go within, and I found it very powerful. All right, I want to give you another example from myself of, here's a note from the universe I wanted to share, and then the example. Lo and behold, before your very eyes and all around you, a reflection of what lies within. Glad we cleared that up. Tally-ho, the universe. There's just you and more you. And if that more you, friends, circumstances, athlete's foot, blurred vision, ringing in your ears, if some of that stuff is not cool, go there. That's where you're missing truth. Truth alone would never cause ringing in your ears. I mean, although I have it. Truth alone would never give you athlete's foot. Truth alone would never give you a cheating, lying partner. Truth alone, truth, which we descended from, which is still all around us. We're inside the mind of God right now. Truth alone is ecstasy, is joy, is release, it's allowance. But when you misunderstand something, it kind of creates like a glare, a chasm, a chink in your armor. So go there and ask, how else could I view life? Now, you might not have an index or Louise Hay's book readily available, but you can still get that if there's an ache, a pain, a stub toe, a cancer, a bad relationship, you're misunderstanding something. Now, that doesn't mean that person isn't also party to what's going on in your life. Change yourself and you might change your relationships, as in some will fade away and others will be attracted. But you change and the harmony can be restored. All right, so let me give you, remember we were talking about elation a few weeks ago and summoning it? And that was one of your assignments. And I was doing it. And for a few weeks, it didn't seem like anything was budging. And then in 1 week, I had 3 moments of true elation, borderline ecstasy. And it happened again recently, and it's been happening, but it was tied to, buying a certain property. And it's like, ooh, my gosh, the elation. And it lasted for a few days. And then, life kind of started distracting me again. I was like, wait a minute. Wait, this is exactly what today's program is all about. Going to what hurts for self-discovery. And of course, there's many grades of that. So how am I moving into elation and it's lasting a few days? Real, like life is so fun. This is so great. I'm so excited because of a certain home we might buy, a second home. Anyway, and I was a bit disappointed in myself in that it required physical circumstances to be moving around and a new home on the horizon to elicit joy. We live in a bastion of perfection, loved and adored 24/7. Does it really take a new house or a new car or something, circumstances, for you to release elation? So I was a little disappointed in myself for that. But at the same time, I wanted to encourage myself because it's like, look, those are circumstances that I'm creating and that I'm forging and that I'm manifesting right now. And if I want to be happy about that stuff, dang it, I'm going to be happy and I'm going to give myself credit. We sure do give ourselves credit when we stub our toes or we have an ailment or cancer or something else. It's like, oh, I'm all wrong and something. It's like baloney. You're a creator. You're creating on the fly. It's not your time to die or you'd be gone. It's your time to wake up and to move into truth and to be freed of those things that are unpleasant in your life right now. This is the adventure. And so I buoyed myself back into, self-appreciation for being able to craft circumstances that might allow for the acquisition of this new property and the fun of, decorating, buying, planning, coordinating, all that stuff can be so much fun. It's like, give that to yourself, go to elation. And what I kind of realized was in that situation, I was allowing circumstances to give me permission for joy. Now, that's not ideal, but hey, I'm in charge of those circumstances, so it's good. I'm not solely in charge. We live in a world where there's earthquakes and recessions and things changing, and that house might not come to pass, but I've done a lot to make it come to pass. I was allowing circumstances to give myself permission to feel the joy that is there anyway based on truth. So I was allowing truth to bubble to the surface based on circumstances. And of course, then you're a little bit at the mercy of circumstances is the point I'm making. So the challenge came to me. It's like, Mike, bring it back. Bring back that elation because it had drifted away. Why? Because I was getting overwhelmed by, new material I have to create, old fears, other issues, trying to micromanage my life, eating of the forbidden fruit, committing the original sin. And I was like, okay, bring it back. Open up the throttle. But how? The point of this mini manifesting workshop. Because the pain you feel doesn't have to be a pain in the back. It can be you were elating here. You were reveling in joy, feeling really optimistic, loving your life. And now you're, I got so much to do. There's only so many hours in the day. That's pain. That's not that's not why you chose to live this lifetime, to be moving mountains and sweating the details. And so this is an invitation to go there. So for me, immerse myself in truth. Truth will set you free. I am powerful. I made a list. I am God. I am free. I am eternal. I'm here by choice. I'm one with all. And then one of my favorite techniques, rephrase it. It's like, I don't have to go to work. I don't have to write new material. I don't have to give a speech next week, 2 speeches. I get to. I'm so privileged. I get to. What if God said you're leaving in 10 days and you're not going to live this life anymore? You're checking out. I'd be like, oh, please let me give another speech. Oh, please let me write another note. Oh, please let me give another mini manifesting workshop. I get to do those things. So the things that were kind of a burden, to the degree I lost my elation over the possibility of this new home, I was attacking through truth and the realization that I get the privilege of doing these things, changing the perspective. Additionally, I went straight to the circumstances of the home. Okay. I went to dress up these earlier affirmations of I am powerful, I am God, I am free, I am eternal, I'm one with all, I get to work. Dress that up. Well, what that means is that home or better. I mean, you can insist on the material props of your life changing through your thoughts. Just don't insist that it be that house or this time frame. So that house or better. My spending power through the roof. I can take lots of time off. I'm visualizing taking my work and my game to another place. I'm visualizing I love my life based on the affirmations of I'm God, I'm free, I'm eternal. So there's still circumstances in my vision, circumstances that cause elation. And I'm using that house as a marker, but I'm leaving the door open for or better. And when I start immersing in, like, I am God, I am powerful, I am waking up, all things are possible, everything I touch turns to gold, that house or better, unlimited spending power, fun in the adventure of teaching and bringing the light to the world, that I can, to the degree I can claim that. And suddenly I've taken the pain of melancholy, where I was once being excited about that home. I'm reminding myself of the truth. Hey, Mike, you're powerful. You're eternal. You're one with God. Your thoughts become things, and you can make that house or better. You can increase your spending power. You get to go to work. And suddenly, truly, every morning, this is my assignment. Every morning I'm feeling, it's creative visualization. Every morning I'm like, yes, I get to, and I recount all the amazing things that are in my life now, my wife, my daughter, my family, my friends, my team. And you could bring yourself to tears every single morning. And perhaps that's a worthy goal. Beginning with the pain, dressing it up in truth, dressing the truth up in circumstances that would thrill you, and be gone, out the door. Have a good day. So obviously, this is your assignment. Bring it back. You know that optimism, that elation, that ecstasy that we've been talking about. And in the book, all the yogis, Autobiography of a Yogi, talking about it again, that is one of their chief goals, to kind of die to the illusions through meditation and feel ecstasy. That's all they're doing. Yogis, by and it doesn't have to be a yogi, through stilling the mind, doesn't have to be classic meditation, through stilling the mind, peel away the Maya, the illusions, the drama that's all make-believe anyway. And what replaces it is truth, elation, ecstasy. Okay? And my goal, and the goal of this month, is to make us all perhaps have the realization that you can bring that ecstasy while in the illusions, as yogis do, except you don't have to die to desire. You can play, as we're just talking about, with circumstances and molding and immersion and truth, and put the drama in its proper perspective while maintaining a higher place in truth. This is real self-realization. This is where it's all going. This is waking ecstasy. So this week, I want you to bring it back. I want you to remember times of euphoria, times of ecstasy, times of enlightenment, times of joy. And I want you to see all the reasons that you should be there always. And I want you to dress those truths up with a rocking life. Okay, so we're going to take perhaps melancholy, and maybe not that that's where you are right now. We're going to see why we ought to be feeling ecstasy. And then we're going to dress it up through visualization and imagination, vision boards, etc., so that we can have waking ecstasy.